your poor posture. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Swati. I'm an executive mom's power coach. So, basically, I help moms who are working as executives, help them with a poor posture, to how to overcome the physical challenges of being a mom, which can range from incontinence to a weak pelvic floor to a poor posture, right? So I show you where the connection between all these is and how to overcome this. All right, so today's topic is, can my posture make my pelvic floor weak? Right? So, for if you're watching me anywhere except the YouTubes, please go over to my channel. And if you like what I'm talking about, you can press the like button and subscribe to my videos. Alrighty. So, what is a pelvic floor? So, just going back to the basics, basically, pelvic floor is a set of muscles that is present in the pelvic area, and they support the pelvic organs, which are basically your bladder, bowel, and in case of women, the uterus. Right now, pelvic floor can get weak with pregnancies, childbirth, chronic constipation, obesity, etc. Now, another factor that can weaken your pelvic floor is a poor posture. Yeah, that's right. Your posture does affect your pelvic floor. This is a commonly overlooked factor and a very important one, and something that is totally in your hands. Well, probably you need a bit of professional help if you are beyond a certain stage of weakness of the pelvic floor, but in the beginning stages there's a lot you can do yourself, right, to correct your posture, to make sure that you're maintaining a good posture, and in turn you are helping your pelvic floor weakness, I mean your pelvic floor as well. Okay, so what happens with a poor posture? Let's go to the other end of this statement about posture and pelvic floor. So let's go to what happens when you have a poor posture. Now, what happens is, when you have a poor posture, you tend to have a lot of muscular imbalances in your body. Now, I know it might sound like a little bit of a jargon to you, but when we say muscular imbalance, what that basically means is some of the muscles are weaker and some of the muscles are tight. So basically, they are not in their usual. Usual length or usual level of strength that they should be. Now, okay, let me give you a very simplified explanation of a muscular imbalance. Okay, so for example, if I have this habit of always slouching forwards, right? So I always slouch forwards from my lower back. So what will happen is, my back extensors, that is the muscles along the spine, along my lower back, will all be lengthened, right? So if, okay, if this is you, okay, and you're always slouching on your lower back, so you're facing this side, this is your back. What will happen is, these muscles, do you see, this is their normal length, but they're always lengthened. They will tend to get really weak, because if you lengthen a muscle over a period of time, they tend to get really weak. And with the muscles in the front, that is your abdominals, right? They will all, the hip flexors, abdominals, basically the front muscles. Don't be worried about the names, but these muscles will all get really tight, right? So basically, a muscle can function at an optimal level when it is that specific length that is supposed to be. If it's lengthened or shortened, it'll lead to muscular imbalances. Now, what happens is, with this muscular imbalance, this is all happening on the surface. But if you have heard me talk about the core muscles, if you haven't, you can go back to my YouTube channel and watch those videos there. They do say core in the title, so you'll be able to figure out which ones they are. Now, if you're watching me on Instagram, you'll have to go to my bio. The link is in the bio. So the link to my YouTube is in the bio, sorry. So basically what will happen is, you will also have a weakening of your core muscles. So not just the superficial muscles of the lumbar spine that I just spoke about with the example, you will have a weakening of your pelvic core. Now, what that means is, basically, let me just give you a very quick overview of the pelvic core. Now, your pelvic core, your lumbar core is made up like a cylinder. So on the top is your diaphragm, that's right under your, at the end of your rib cage there, and the bottom is made up of your pelvic floor muscles. The sides are made up of your deepest layers of abdominal muscles, and the back is your multifidi, or the small muscles running from one vertebra to another. If none of that makes sense, don't worry about it. Just remember, at the base of your core is your pelvic floor muscles. So if you have a weakness in your core muscles, that will translate to weakness in the pelvic floor, which can lead to issues such as incontinence, etc. I mean, there was a lot of issues that can lead into, but that's a topic for another day. So basically, your poor posture will lead to muscular imbalances, will lead to a weak core, will lead to a weak pelvic floor musculature. Okay. So, especially as moms, we go through pregnancies, childbirths, etc. And then nowadays, with our modern lifestyle and shorter maternity leaves, we don't really get the sort of time to recover, to from the childbirth and all the other experiences. So your pelvic floor doesn't get enough rest. You're out and about, right? So that gravity is always acting on the pelvic floors. So if you haven't gone through pelvic floor exercises or a rehab to address that issue, especially, you can have a weak pelvic floor. On top of that, if you have a poor posture, can you imagine the sort of pressure you're putting on those weaker muscles, right? So your to answer the question, yes, your poor posture can make your weak pelvic floor weaker. So those muscles can get weaker. Now, if you want to find out more about how to maintain a good posture, how to in fact, how to achieve a good posture. If you want to find out how to achieve a good posture and to maintain it, I address this in my free community. The link to my free community is in my bio if you're watching me on Instagram, and I will leave a link in the description if you're watching me on any other platform like Facebook and LinkedIn. So, yeah, you can find out more about these topics in my free community, and I'll be happy to answer your questions there. So, I hope this was useful. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.